Barack Obama is back on the campaign trail and he's making the case against Donald Trump. But before his guest feature in Pennsylvania, Obama made a surprise visit to Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters in Pittsburgh. It was there that he got candid, maybe a little too candid if you are in the vice president's inner circle tonight. He warned that Harris is underperforming him with black voters, and he had a message specifically for black men.
Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
CNN political commentator Errol Lewis is in our fifth seat for this conversation. Errol, I guess he knew the cameras were there. It was an unscheduled stop, but that message was so pointed. In addition to him making it very clear, Kamala Harris is not doing what she needs to do with this core Democratic constituency.
That's right. Although he is asking her, let's be clear, to go over a very high hurdle. Barack Obama got historic levels of black voter registration and turnout and support, and he did it twice. It was almost inevitable that it was going to swing more toward the long-term average of a handful of black voters.
Can I interrupt you for just a moment, just to show you something here? Because we went back, looked at 2020 exit polls. Biden got 92% of the black vote. Right now, according to Quinnipiac, this is in Pennsylvania, according to Quinnipiac, Harris is at 78. It's a big gap in this state right now. And that can be closed because Biden is not Barack Obama.
Biden is not, well, he was Obama's running mate. Right, certainly some spillover there. But you cannot ask of every black candidate in the post-Obama era, you've got to come up with 92% of the black vote every time. That is just not a reasonable assumption. If the margins are as tight as they're likely to be in this race, that's going to cause you problems in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia and in Detroit and in Milwaukee and in Atlanta and in all of the swing states. And so they're going to have to come up with a strategy. Now, Barack Obama is trying one strategy, trying to sort of connect with some of the black male voters who they think have been drifting away and are likely to drift away in these last 26 days. I'm not sure that's the right message. I mean, they have to try something.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, this is not a nice message. This is a very stern message.
Let me ask you a question, Abby and Nina. Let me say, I find it very interesting that we're trying to reach out to white men. We're trying to reach out to black men. The people whose rights are really on the ballot right now are women. And we're begging all these men to pay attention to us and to care enough about this election, to vote, to come out, to support us. I feel like Barack going on the campaign trail right now makes perfect sense. Of course, right? He's a top surrogate for Democrats. He should be out there doing the work right now. I think it's so amazing to me that with women's rights on the line, we're spending so much time focusing on making sure men care.
Because men, I don't know, it's because men are the problem right now for Kamala Harris.
I mean, women.
And by the way, Governor Walz, according to Politico, is going to be going out on a men tour, literally a tour of media to appeal to men.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women. And why? As a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris-Walz campaign to lay at the feet of black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right that one of the reasons is because they don't like the idea of a woman?
It might be some
in the White
listen,
House?
black men are socialized in the same society as any other man. So yes, is misogyny maybe a part of it? But again, is President Obama and is the Harris-Walz campaign going to lecture other male groups in the same way that they're lecturing
This is
black
not just
men?
about.
I don't think so.
It's not just about Pennsylvania. It's not just about men. It sounds like there's a concern that there's a broad problem for Vice President Harris with the blue wall. It's basically, according to the poll of polls, no clear leader, a tied race essentially in all three of these battleground states. You know, I don't know that this is because Trump has run a great campaign, but I mean,
I don't think it's that.
I mean, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but he has struggled against Kamala Harris in this early stage, but he's still kept this race pretty tight and maybe has made some inroads in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, absolutely he has. Vice President Harris's high watermark was about a week and a half after the convention. It's slowly been trickling down. That Quinnipiac poll showing the vice president down in Michigan and Wisconsin sent alarm bells throughout every Democrat office in the country. But I want to say this, the blue wall is cracking, and black men are just one part of a broader puzzle that she hasn't been able to reach. Now, to her credit, she hasn't been running for very long. This campaign's new. This is a new experiment of replacing somebody late in the cycle. So, okay, we'll give her that. However, she's struggling with union voters. The two of the biggest unions ever didn't endorse her. She's struggling with Muslim Americans in Michigan, according to CARE's own numbers. She's struggling with Hispanics in California. She's not expected to remake the Obama coalition. That's impossible. That's a 1 in a million, especially given the short time frame. But she has a lot of bigger problems, and that's why you see Tammy Baldwin panicking about being down more.
Here's Debbie Dingle. People need to see the real Kamala Harris. This is what she told Axios. They need to let her get in the union halls and just talk to people. Whatever you think about Trump, he's personable.
Well, I think that's one of the things. I mean, he obviously, from 2016 all the way through 2020, now through 2024, he comes off as a fighter. He comes off as a fighter for whatever issue matters to you. I think that's one of his big appeals. One of the challenges, I think, for the vice president's campaign is that I don't think Barack Obama is the right surrogate to go out there and do it. No, now, he's beloved by Democrats. He's beloved generally by Americans, but he's never had coattails. Aside from 2008, when he first got elected, Democrats lost more than 1,000 seats in state and federal offices during his 8 years. He was the sitting president when Donald Trump won Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, with Barack Obama campaigning in Michigan and in Pennsylvania, and it didn't change the narrative. So I just don't know if he has the coattails. He'll fire up the base, but he's going to get anybody new to come out and vote.
You know, the other mistake that they're making is focusing too much on personality. I mean, Kamala Harris has got an appealing personality, and we're all getting to know her. But this is the incumbent party. She was part of an administration. They have a decent record to run on. You could say to black men, for example, $7 billion for historically black colleges and universities. You know, we've done certain things. We've had an economy where we've had not one, not two, but over 36 record highs in the stock market this year. If you've got a retirement account, that is helping you. You can go out and explain these things, or you can sort of say, well, let's try and segment this